I value my neck a lot more than $3,000, Chief. I'll find him for 3, but I'll catch him and kill him for 10. You gotta make up your minds. You wanna stay alive and ante up? You wanna play it cheap? Be on welfare the whole winter. I don't want no volunteers. I don't want no mates. There's too many captains on this island. $10,000 for me by myself. For that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Hey everyone ever, and welcome to 20th Century Pop, the show where we try to understand the present while living in the past. My name is Tim Blevins.
And I am Bob Canning. And Tim, I'm curious, it's summer.
It's summertime.
It's been hot.
It's been very hot this summertime.
And I know we've got, COVID-19 happening, but...
And Bob brought the room down.
I did, but I'm curious, have you...
I had forgotten. I had totally forgotten that COVID-19 was a thing that was going on this very minute in the world.
In this world.
Thanks, Bob.
We've been talking...
I feel like I've gone 3 weeks without thinking about it once, and now you just brought it up in the show. So now I'm back to where I was 3 weeks ago.
I had to put that caveat in there because I was going to ask you... If you've been to the beach. That was where I was going with this.
Okay. Have I been to the beach?
This summer.
Sort of. I mean, not to go into water. I live in Salem, so there's beaches nearby, so I've walked along the beach, sure.
Okay. Like sandy beaches? Or
Some of them have sand.
Or just waterfront?
Well, there's both. There's
okay.
both. I haven't brought a towel down, sat down, and been like, ooh, where's the ice cream cone that I brought? Oh, it's gone. But the ice cream's still here. It's melted. That analogy was missing some parts.
Okay. Okay. Well,
have you been to a beach? Do you live near a beach? Do you like beaches?
Yeah, I do. I'm about an hour away from the beach, and we went to the beach. That's a long way. It's a decent, an hour's drive. I don't know distance, what the distance actually is, but
you said it was 1 hour away. That's how far it is.
That's the time. That's the time that it's away, and
how many miles
dependent
did you walk?
On traffic.
Okay, I understood. This is exhausting. I'm sorry.
It can be.
Well, because apparently there's a pandemic going on that I didn't think about.
Yeah,
I had no idea was happening.
Sorry about
and
that.
And I'm very happy that in a 45 to an hour minute program that people come to maybe escape thinking about it. Just for that period. Not that they're expecting us to be naive, but are thinking like, well, I want to get distracted. We brought it up.
There was a brief moment where I was just going to ask you if you've been to the beach. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Were you afraid that people would be like, when did this get recorded? Or he doesn't know about the pandemic?
I don't know. I just felt like... It's a factor that it's involved in asking somebody if they've been out of their house recently and in fact have gone to a place where others gather. I thought I should throw that out there. I am aware that it exists. This has ruined your plan to have this be like an evergreen episode that anyone could listen to at any time and
what
not be reminded.
Mean? Oh, like a Christmas episode?
Well, not evergreen. It's a term in the industry that you can use it whenever.
What industry?
We use it in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, that's right. Because you're employed. You know who's not employed in the industry right now? This because of COVID-19? Because of Hangar 18?
Wow.
Because of NC-17? Because of She's Only 6. Oh, no, she's only 17. 16 and Life's Too Crowded? Because of 1559, the date that something happened? Because of 14 Skidoo? I'm trying to see what numbers I know.
Johnny 5.
I lost
Put
it
Johnny
on
5 in there.
What was that?
Johnny 5.
That's a long ways down to speak of Goo Goo Dolls. Okay. I don't like the beach.
You don't like the beach. And that's
really.
Fine.
I like it at night. I like it in the fall, but I don't like going down and sitting there and going in the water.
I don't mind the beach.
Okay.
I enjoy making sandcastles, to be perfectly honest. That's fun.
You must be missing that right now with all the pandemic.
I went to the beach last week. I made a sandcastle last week.
Wait, last week, 2020 last week?
Uh-huh.
So February last week?
That is like 2020 last week. No, this past 7 days from the date that we're recording this.
Yeah.
And I bring it up because I didn't see it, but somebody on the beach was shouting that there was a dolphin or maybe a pod of dolphins offshore that they were seeing. So I looked out into the water, Tim, and I instinctively looked for the fins, for the dorsal fin above the water. And it just got me thinking, if I saw that, would I know it was a dolphin or would I think it might be a shark? Because they thought it was a dolphin, but how do we know it wasn't a shark? I am not that skilled to tell the difference between the fins of dolphins and sharks.
So you're not educated enough to spot if your children at the beach are in danger by something?
I would just presume they were in danger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is shark, is that something you think of at the beach? Obviously, I know where this is going.
Of course, we know where this is going. It's not something I don't really think about it that often. At the beach, my kids, when we are in the water, don't go that deep. I'm not afraid that they are in danger by shark or dolphin, which I know can be dangerous.
Why is the dolphin dangerous?
They've got that bottled nose snout that I believe can be very hard if they bump you.
Well, I feel like I don't hear people talking dolphins a lot at the beach. I do hear sharks.
Yes.
You're right. And why is that being brought up on this episode of this podcast about pop culture?
Because today on the 20th Century Pop, we are doing a retro shock. And for those that don't know, a retro shock is where we talk about our memories of something from our pop culture history that maybe we haven't returned to, or in this case, perhaps have never experienced, and determine what our history with it was like. And then we're going to go and we're going to watch it, listen to it, whatever, and then talk about it. And today we're talking about the movie Jaws.
1975 Jaws?
That's right.
Steven Spielberg directed Jaws?
Steven Spielberg directed summer blockbuster, kickoff, first ever summer blockbuster movie, Jaws.
So we're talking about the Jaws that I am unfamiliar with.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it.
That's a good point.
But you've never seen the entirety of it. How much of Jaws have you seen?
I don't know if I've seen any of it. I probably have seen parodies of it. I probably have seen clips, I guess, with the chalkboard. So it's weird to have something that is so important and so integral. Integral? Is that a word?
Yep.
Integral.
You got there.
Is there an R in it?
Yep.
Jars? Or Jaws?
There's an R in integral.
That there could be this movie that's so much a part of everyone our age. Everyone who's now 44 and older, and I'm probably a little younger at least. It's so important to them that it's odd to me, and I don't understand why fully I didn't see it sooner. I get why later in life, when I had to establish myself as the pop culture connoisseur who knew what he knew and not what everyone else knew, I get that dick move. Mm-hmm. But I really don't know how this fully eluded me. How it didn't at least show up at a sleepover, or how it didn't somehow find its way to my VCR. I just, so it's odd to me that we're going to do an episode when we're watching it. Why would you have chosen it? What's exciting for you to see Jaws personally, to go back and see it?
For me, looking back on it, it was my introduction to horror movies. And I don't think people necessarily think of Jaws as a horror movie, but for me it was my introduction to horror movies, because there are some gruesome deaths. There's some gruesome things that you see. Jaws is the Jason of the movie, just killing people.
Sudeikis?
Voorhees.
Okay.
So I didn't realize it at the time, but like looking back on it, that was like my first horror movie. And it's also a character study. There are great characters in it, great actors. And so, yeah, it's just that good. And I don't know how, I think just because it is streaming somewhere and we can both get to it for free, we've kind of come to this movie. So I'm excited that you get to watch it. I feel like you're going to be, because of your knowledge of the movie already, and more to the point, your knowledge of the parodies, you're going to get to certain scenes that may have been parodied time and again, and they won't have the effect that they would have had if you were seeing this, for the first time without that other context.
You're not selling me on seeing it other than that we have to see it for the show. I wouldn't choose to do this. And there's a part of me that feels like, well, now I'm severing the tie with that distinction I made. There was a part of me that was just like, well, for all the pop culture that I'm wrapped in, I missed this. This could be an outlier. But now I'm going to experience it. Now I'm going to go see it.
And so are you saying you're kind of regretting this a little bit?
I'm not regretting it. It just feels like I'm letting go of a personality trait. I'm letting go or reshaping my understanding of my pop culture past.
You're going to be a different Tim on the other side of this.
Well, I think I'm different now. I think I'm an adult enough to know that nobody cares now that I haven't seen it. But I am curious to how I'm going to view it. Because I know there are things I have gone to see after the fact. But with this, it's going to be very hard to experience it, I think, as a movie. But we'll see. I guess we'll see, because we're about to go watch Jowls.
Real quick before we do, we usually do the good experience, bad experience.
Right. Good,
So
good memory, bad memory is what this
good
is
memory,
actually
bad
called.
memory.
Yeah.
Good memory for me, for sure. Especially because it was my own discovery. I mean, not a discovery because it obviously was out in the world, but I took it upon myself to finally see this movie. And so it was a good moment for me.
And you know what? I'm going to say good memory too, because I get why it's important. I get that theme song. I know it kicked off the idea of blockbuster summers. I got Steven Spielberg to a place to make Close Encounters. It's done everything necessary for me to kind of have the 80s, late 70s and 80s childhood I had. That's great. Good. That's good. It's not great memory. It's good memory. That's what we say.
Well,
that's what it's called. That's the wording that we use.
Nice. Let's go see if we can ruin that for you then.
With
and watch
1975's Jowls. Is that funny? That's not, right? I thought it was.
Not really.
Is it funny twice?
It's really the third time because you wrote it in this link. So.
Oh, I did. You see that. The listener can't see that. No, so it might be funny for the listener if I said it a third time.
It might be. The comedy does come in threes. But so do deaths.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
From the best-selling novel, Jaws, rated PG, maybe too intense for younger children.
I'm curious up front. I really want to know if you liked it or didn't like it. Just that, and then we'll get into talking about it.
You want to know if I did or did not like Jaws?
Yeah.
Like, did I like the first major blockbuster of all time by Steven Spielberg? Of course I liked it.
All right. Well,
of course why wouldn't I? It'd be ridiculous not to like
it's possible. No, but it's possible. Like we talked about before, there's so many aspects of it that have been parodied that you've seen, but you haven't seen the movie. And I thought maybe that would ruin it for you.
Sure, and that's a valid thought right off the bat. That's valid, but I mean, there's a reason I think the world outside of myself loves, and I found out our friend of the show, Jarf Hardeen, has never seen Jaws either. But outside of us, so 4,900,999 other people have seen Jaws. Because yes, of course, it's a good movie. It would be showy grandstanding, much like not seeing it for 45 years, to say that it's not a good movie. It's weird because, and I should know this because it's how it's talked about, it really starts as a horror movie. Like, I don't think of Steven Spielberg as a horror director. Like,
right.
There's moments in Close Encounters and even E.T. and maybe Temple of Doom that are creepy. But no, this movie starts like a straight up slasher movie. Like, the opening, I feel like very much is like an 80s R-rated horror. That's the thing, too. This is a PG movie, not to sound prudish, but there's a lot of just floating limbs, blood, and a cut open shark belly.
Well, I think it would have been PG-13 had that been around, but yeah.
I think it would have been R. I think this would have been a hard R now.
I don't think there's enough profanity to make it an R.
I think they would have put it in there because I don't know if they would have known what the balance. I don't think you would have seen, and again, I'm sounding ridiculous. I don't know why we're opening on this. The opening's great. This on the beach there, drunk, horny kids. I liked that. What was odd about that is I feel like that's what the film could have been. And I don't think after that scene that that's what the movie is. I think it takes another turn, which I'm happy about. But
I think it goes back, and I think it goes back to horror once in a while, and especially towards the end. There's a little bit more of a monster movie type feel. At the
monster
end.
movie, sure. I guess what I'm saying is like this opening is a Friday the 13th chopping mall kind of like, blood on the beach, they could have called it,
Sure. Okay.
Day at the Death. I don't know what you might, pontoon boat, pontoon choke. I don't know, but this could have been
Docks.
Death Docks. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Bye bye buoy. I don't know. There's a lot of things you could call it. And again, it's a great opening. It gets you right in. And that's the thing. It feels kind of 70s. Of course it does. There's the overlapping dialogue. There's a lot of day for night filming. But once that first sequence kind of passes, the girl getting attacked by Bruce apparently is his name, but we'll call him Jaws.
Yeah.
I feel like after that, it is a different movie. It is a little bit more of a Spielberg movie because like the town of Amity, the town that this takes place in, with the exception of, is it Brody? Roy Scheider's character is Brody, the police chief?
Yes.
With the exception of him, the town is very cartoonish. I kind of felt like everything we see in Amity is like Springfield. Like on The Simpsons, there's cartoon faces.
Yeah.
There's people kind of doing double takes. It's very comical and very counteractive to the start of the movie.
They're the Islanders. They're the ones that know each other. They're ingrained and set in their ways, and Brody's the outsider. So it makes sense, to make them a little more outlandish, I guess.
Well, it's very bright. Like most of the movie is very bright, which is interesting for the other scary moments. There's very little that actually takes place at night after that opening scene. That's not entirely true, but
no, there's a couple more at night. There's the boat ride that Brody and was it Hooper?
Is that Richard Dreyfuss's character? Yeah.
They go out at night at one point for another night scare. But you're right. Yeah, it's mostly during the day.
I mean, did it feel? It's not a believable. It's a fun feeling town. I like seeing this town, but it felt like caricatures, which made everything that happened after that first scene a little more palpable, at least for the first half of the movie. Because, and I don't know if this is going into it with preconceived notions or if this is just how it's set up. It's farcical. It's exaggerated. There are people doing pratfalls. There are. I don't want to say. There's the local yokels or whatever you want to say. That felt a little more Spielberg like me, but even a little over the top for Spielberg. I don't know. Like, you've seen the movie before. What was it like coming into it? Did you watch it by yourself?
I watched it with my wife this time, this recent time.
Have you ever watched it with her before?
I don't know.
Is this something you watch a lot?
It's no. It's not something I go back to. It's definitely one of those that if I happen upon it, then I'm watching it to the end. But it's not one that I sit down. It's like, oh, hey, what are we doing tonight? Let's watch Jaws. It's nothing like that.
It is that for a lot of people, though, right? I guess this is something I don't understand. Why is this?
I have a coworker that's a huge fan. He's got Jaws art as his desktop. So yeah, there are people that absolutely love it. He's a Spielberg fan in general, though. He has a car it's a Jeep that he has it in a Jurassic Park Jeep. Jurassic Park Jeep.
Huh.
Yeah. It's got the sticker on the side that says that he is a member of Jurassic Park, I guess.
A friend of mine made sure that he was born in 1941, so I get it.
There you go. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do, but that's the thing. Like, why? You've seen this before, yeah? What in watching it? What was that experience like for you? I guess because I can go on.
In rewatching it this time,
yes.
It was just reliving the great movie. Is
so it is still great. You enjoy it.
Yeah. And I hadn't seen it in a while, and so there were moments that meant more to me now. Just through things that I've gone through life. I don't think I've seen it in its entirety since having kids. And so now I'm watching it with kids, and Brody's got kids. And so, there's that scene where I think it's the scene where they just had the shark scare in the main beach, and was all tense about it. And then he realizes it's a scare, but then somebody else is now screaming shark, and it's in the pond, a little side area. And so he starts walking over there. And then as he remembers that his kids are over there, he asks them to go over there away from the main beach because of the shark. And now he's hearing them scream shark in that area. And so he starts to walk, and then he slowly picks up his pace, and then he's hoofing it over there. That really got to me because, it's his kids that he's running out to check in on and to possibly save. So that affected me differently this time. But yeah, it was just great to watch. And then my wife hadn't seen it in a long time, probably longer than myself. And so there were some jump scares and certain things she had forgotten about that she reacted to pretty strongly. So that was fun to re-experience.
Is he a good person, a good character, Brody? Like, is he an admirable individual in the context of the film to you?
I feel that he is. I feel like he is in an interesting transitionary position. Excuse me. Because he's new to the town and he needs to, earn the town's respect.
How new is he? I know it's in movies. Is this his first summer there?
It's his first summer. They say that it's his first summer. So I don't know if he's been there since October of the previous year or if
this is his first time seeing what the beach is.
Yes, he's the first time for the beach and the tourists and all that stuff. And so I think he's trying to do best for the town and the people. I think he's also trying to do best for himself and his family and keep his job and stay in good graces with the mayor. I think he's got a lot of push and pull in different directions. And ultimately, he picks the right path and figures out how to take down this shark.
No, I like him. He's actually a likable character. I say that because I'm not sure I like any of the other characters.
Well, I mean, yeah, the town is full of, I think you called them yokels before.
Yeah, which wasn't very kind. I probably should have called them, douchebag fishermen?
There you go.
Or Republicans. Dumb island pride folk.
Island pride. Yeah, so he's got to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so the Islanders, yeah, I mean, some of the side characters, you don't get to know enough. What about the inn owner, the very tan woman, the rubbery skinned? Oh, she shows up a few times.
No, she's one of the Simpsons cast. That's the thing. These people are weird caricatures. They're like cast for their faces. Some of them I feel like are not cast for their acting ability, and that's fine.
Sure.
I mean, ultimately, in the movie's set up. I think it's probably almost perfectly balanced. The first half and the last half. In the last half, we only get 3 characters.
Yeah, and of those 3 characters, you only like Brody. You don't like Hooper, and you don't like Quint.
I don't like Hooper. That's Richard Dreyfuss's character. But I mean, that might be because it's Richard Dreyfuss. Like, I like him in some roles, and he is talented, but I also feel like I don't need to hear him fake laugh. I don't need to hear anybody sing on a boat. I
feel like that character is probably better in the book. And that's the other thing that I don't think about that often, because from what I understand, Jaws the book, or whatever it was called, because I don't think it was called Jaws, that was a very popular book at the time, too. And so I think that character was probably better in the book because you probably could read better and learn more about him than you can do it visually and have it be like these little asides. Like you kind of learn, and I don't even think I picked up on this until this viewing, that he is from a rich family. That never really stood out before, but I picked it up this time.
Is there an infidelity plotline in this movie? Did he sleep with Brody's wife? Someone was explaining that to me, and I did not pick that up at all.
No, I didn't get that from the film at all.
No, okay. I was hoping
he made himself very comfortable at the dinner. I did, that was a little.
What is that from? That was kind of odd to me. I wonder if it's something in the book, and I should have researched this so we could talk about it. But I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. But I was talking with someone, telling them, "Hey, I saw this movie Jaws," and they brought that up, that there's some weird familiarity that's set between those two. That's somehow in that scene.
Well, I always kind of took it as they were both the outsiders. They were the two from bigger cities that.
But he arrives with 2 bottles of wine after meeting him randomly.
Well, it wasn't random. I think he requested somebody, an expert.
Okay,
I remember
not
there was,
random, but like he met Brody for the first time. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I feel like something's missing for following Brody as the hero. He's balanced out by, I think a spoiled rich scientist, which is a weird metaphor to mash together. And then you have Quint, kind of the grizzled veteran of World War II, I think. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
who knows the animals as a monster and knows how to stab them once they get in there and kill him. Like that's an interesting balance.
Yeah.
Do you like Quint? I know that's probably one of the more quoted characters of this movie.
I don't mind Quint. I think he's all right. I think he becomes, I don't like him towards the end because he sort of loses it and he doesn't help the situation by, pressing forward after the shark, destroying the radio. He becomes a little off kilter. His death doesn't, I'm not like, oh man, Quint died.
Nor are the two people he's sailing with. There is no remorse for his death.
No.
I found that very odd.
And I've always found it odd that Hooper just sort of hides for the last 15 minutes. He goes into the water, he gets away, he's going to hide behind a rock until something explodes, and then he'll come up at the end.
Yeah, I mean, is it anticlimactic? I like that there's almost an hour spent on the boat. That is interesting that there's something fascinating to that. But there's
My wife said that she didn't recall that they were on the boat for so long.
I was surprised to find out that is a bulk of the movie.
Yeah.
It's a little ball swinging around or dick swinging around. It's, that's the thing. Is this just another fucking Moby Dick metaphor? I mean, is that what that is? It's not, Quint isn't necessarily after the shark. I guess Hooper kind of is through his research, but it's more of an entitlement. He wants the riches of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Brodie's story. It's his quest. What is the action of going after this primeval shark that hopefully keeps it from being a, hey, my dick is a whale metaphor?
I think I'm a little lost on what you're going for there, because I thought the whale metaphor thing, I thought that was kind of clear in some respects, because they even compare scars at one point, the three of them.
So it is just a big masculine
a bit
boner fight.
It's that, and then just the monster, the monster movie there at the end where they're fighting off Frankenstein, but in this case a shark.
One might say like a Moby Dick of sorts.
Oh, of
you
sorts.
said a Frankenstein of sorts.
Yeah.
When he's fighting off a Megatron there at the end. Does the Moby Dick story interest you, if that's what it is? Does that idea of this, because it seems like, and it shouldn't be, but that's a very gender specified story, maybe because of the time it was written. But I can never, I understand the idea of the obsession story, but it always seems like it's such a weird, everyone gets damned for my obsession, and it's supposed to be heroic. Like, it's odd that at the end of the movie, we don't, because I was expecting this, we don't actually see Brody get back to his family. I mean, they're fine. We know they're fine. They're in, unless something happened on the shore. But that's not the point. At the end of the story, he's palling around a little bit with Hooper, kind of like it's the end of Casablanca or something. Yeah. But it really is just him going after the shark. Like you said, this time you saw him, you related to some of the Family Man stuff. I feel like that gets thrown out pretty quickly when you get to the second half of the movie.
He tries to get back. He tries to get in touch with his family. He is the one that's trying to be the level head between the two other guys, who, again, just keep trying to one-up each other. But yeah, at one point, he just succumbs to the quest.
Like, he's protecting the town initially. That's what's weird about the first half and second half. His goal is to protect the town. He wants to protect the town. And there's an interesting thing in the first half that we'll get into in a minute, I think, about that story. But by the time he gets on the boat, it's odd to me that we don't see him get back to the town. We don't see the reactions or the interactions with the town that he's supposedly defending.
Yeah, I guess it does lose that edge. You're right, because at the end of the movie, I'm just now in it for the battle, like who's going to come out on top, who are we going to lose in this battle, and who's going to come out the victor, not necessarily who's going to come out the protector.
So, and doesn't that change it? I mean, doesn't that, I don't know, I feel like there's a weird shift that's what it becomes.
Yeah, there's definitely like two different movies here in a way.
Do you like them both?
Yeah, I do like both. I did find that the boat stuff dragged a little bit for me.
Okay.
This time, especially the singing and the storytelling.
At the end of the day, everything's a metaphor. I get it. And it might just be present time intruding, but the two storylines don't seem consistent, don't seem to connect. Something is missing because when the movie started, in the first half hour of the movie, and I feel like maybe I like the first half more than the second half, I couldn't shut my brain off. I couldn't not be watching this movie. I couldn't dissect myself enough to not see Brody as Fauci,
Sure.
and seeing the mayor as Republican, and just seeing this whole thing as a fucking pandemic analogy. That's all I was getting from the first half of this movie.
Yeah, and I had actually before this had seen, I think there's some memes going around that do the same thing. So that was already planted in my mind as well.
So what did you see? I'm curious because I got a lot out of that. That was very helpful to me. And that's why the second half maybe didn't play as well. What did you see in it?
Yeah, well, it's exactly. I mean, I've always gotten stuff out of that aspect of it, where you have the money hungry mayor not wanting to sacrifice the dollars that summer and beachgoers bring to his town for the greater good, even though they're the number of people, I mean, it's so spot on. The number of people that are going to suffer from a shark attack are limited. And so he's willing to take that risk and not shut down the whole thing until they can make sure that shark is out of their waters. And that's just spot on, I think, to what we're going through today.
Yeah, I think that is it. When they're saying the beaches will be open, all I could hear is the schools will be open. It's like the whole idea of the smaller shark and the reality that this isn't your shark because the teeth don't match up, the jaw doesn't match up. But nobody wants to believe those experts. Fuck those experts. Just get them back in the beach. Let people swim. Like all of that was just too spot on. And then the whole weird scene where like the mayor's major enemy ultimately is whoever vandalized the sign. There's a sign for Amity and somebody drew a pretty funny dorsal fin with a word bubble saying, look out for the shark. And he wants to create like some patsy, the mayor does, to redirect his anger and the focus of everyone else so that that's what they're going after. Not the problem, not the shark, but the people who are vandalizing, as he calls it, or speaking out like that. Where the movie goes became less relatable to me.
Because it's two different stories, the shark in the first half, like you were just saying, is of nature. It's just a shark being a shark. The shark in the second half, I think, is more fantastical, where it is targeting these guys and chasing these guys and not going, elsewhere to find food, but like literally is the monster attacking these three guys in the boat.
It's ensnared though, isn't it? Isn't it caught by a cable? That's why it follows them?
I don't think the cable's not attached to the boat. It's attached to, at least I don't think so, but it's attached to these what are they?
Floaters?
Say again?
Like the floating barrels?
Yeah, the barrels. That's the word I was looking for. So it's the barrels that keep it from going deep. But he could still go elsewhere, but he stays and is around the boat and is attacking the boat. And maybe he's attacking the boat because they're the ones that put the barrels on him. But it's a different thing. It's no longer, I don't see it as nature anymore. I do see it more as a monster.
So it becomes the slasher movie again.
Yeah.
So that's interesting then. And I wonder if that's Spielberg, because that ties into the opening scene. That's what we get at the beginning.
Right.
Because we get it from the shark's view even. I wonder if Steven Spielberg's influence and maybe why Jaws resonates is he did something in the middle part that maybe didn't gel yet because he's a master director, sure, but he's still learning his craft. But the story that captivated me is not the story that the opening and closing designate. Like, do you like the idea of the monster, or of the shark as a monster? Or do you like the idea of the shark as nature and the enemy is sort of the government? It's the mayor.
I have always liked and been drawn to stories that show how people react to extreme situations. I've always liked seeing, especially when it's like realistic enough situations. So here's the thing that happened, and so now we've got to do like the little details of how he went to the hardware store because they didn't have closed beach signs, and so he had to go to the hardware store to get those made because they just never closed the beach before. And just those little things, and how the town officials all gathered on the ferry that was going across the water, and that's where they had their discussion about redesignating the woman's death as a boat accident. Just those little back and forth conversations between people, and just how it slowly escalates. I've always been drawn to that sort of thing. I like that. And then for me, it's like, and you get a little bonus monster movie at the end.
But it is different, which is interesting to me. Like it's called Jaws. It's a shark movie. It's that movie with the giant shark. But the more fascinating part is all the stuff on land.
Yeah, and I don't know. I haven't read the book, so I don't know.
I don't think you're gonna. I don't think we're going to.
Not going to. So I don't know like how much of it needed to shift, because famously, as I'm sure a lot of folks know, the shark was supposed to be featured more in the movie. Was originally supposed to be more, just the mechanical shark that they built was going to be a big part, but it didn't work, and so they had to shoot around it and figure out other ways, and that's why you get a lot of shots from the point of view of the shark instead of seeing the shark.
No, I don't think the shark looks fake either. I don't know. Maybe it's because I think sharks are dumb looking. Not dumb looking, but they have that like kind of blank look. But every time it popped up, I actually found it kind of frightening.
Yeah. I mean, it worked well, and you don't get like very long gazes at the shark. So it's just these quick hits that work really well. But maybe it had been intended to be more shark. Even though you've got all this stuff on land, there was going to be more shark. And then they just couldn't do that, and they worked around it and made a better movie, is what everybody agrees, than what it would have been if the shark was more visible.
I'm just curious because you've seen this before. This is a movie that lives in your consciousness. In watching it, does it still seem like this should be, because this is considered one of the greatest spectacles of cinema history. This is on that list. This is a massive achievement of directorial magic and whatever. Does it look like that to you still, or is it a little quaint over the years?
Well, I mean, it's certainly got
a little quaint over the years.
It's got a little quaint. Of course, it's gotten a quaint over the years as movies have just gotten bigger and bigger and louder. So of course there's a quaintness to it, but it's still so well done, especially because of what's happening in the town. It just continues to resonate, and it's still a very enthralling film. There's a quaintness to it for sure, but I think it still stands out and can.
What's quaint about it? Like, what is specifically quaint about Jaws?
Oh, there's a different pacing to it than you might get if a similar film was made today. Speaking of similar films, there's loads. There's loads of shark attack movies. And so you can watch those, including the sequels to Jaws, to see that the pacing just changes. Everything's faster. There's not that space to have the conversation about signs for the beach. There's not space to have Harry in his bad hat and the beachgoers chit-chatting, or to slowly watch that one guy call for his dog. Oh, that's always such a hard thing to watch.
Yeah, the dog, they don't actually say. The dog got eaten, right?
The presumption is the dog has been eaten, yes.
I think there's 4 kills in this movie, and I think the dog, Pippin, is one of them. Oh, 5 kills, if you count Quint, sorry.
6 if you count the fish.
Oh, I guess wow. What a cold bastard I am. I didn't count the fish. You mean Jaws.
Right.
The character of Jaws.
The character of Jaws.
You're saying like there wouldn't be the space or the patience for that. Is that true, or is it just we have that one? Like,
oh, I guess that's an excellent point. Yeah. So you're doing the next thing.
Well, because like people remake the bad remakes. Like you're saying, we have tons of giant fish movies, and I bet they have a lot of similarities. To Jaws. Nobody is gonna, and maybe they have, by the way, because I don't watch all the giant fish movies. Yep. There's something untouchable, maybe because it's Steven Spielberg, but there's something about Jaws that remains on its pedestal, which I don't know, because again, I liked it. Having not seen it for 45 years, and going to watch it, I didn't have, I knew I would enjoy it. There'd be no way I wouldn't enjoy it, but I didn't have high expectations. That's not true. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg, but I I didn't think I would be enthralled with it, which I was. I didn't look at my phone during it. I wasn't distracted during with it. I stayed with it. I mean, I took some notes, but I stayed with it the whole time. And I'm happy I saw it.
Great.
You know, it's exciting to have seen it because it is this movie, but at the same time, it is this movie. So it's a little crushing to have seen it.
Really?
Kind of. You know, I really felt that my relationship with pop culture, it's built not just off of the things that I like, but also off things like the fact that, well, I haven't seen Jaws.
Yeah.
I don't like the Rolling Stones, or I haven't read Lord of the Rings. At the same time, it's kind of like Jaws and the weight of Jaws. I'm a little ashamed that I saw it because now it's kind of like it changes how I connect to pop culture. Does that mentality make any sense, or does that just sound dumb?
I mean, I think it's making a little bit of sense. I'm trying to think of
not laugh at it because it's childish.
No, it's I mean, it's a little childish, but at the same time, you've gone this long without seeing it. You've built your mindset around the fact that you've not seen it and that you don't need to see it, and now that you have, that changes that aspect of your pop culture fandom in a bit of a way. I have a similar movie with The Godfather. I've never seen The Godfather. I know it's probably a very good movie. I have friends that it's their absolute favorite movie.
I mean, I've read a couple things that say it's pretty good.
Yeah. And so I guess I'm in a similar boat. I am not going to be like, oh, you know what? This is the year I'm going to finally watch The Godfather. I've just reached a point in my life where it's like, nope, not interested, don't need to see it. I believe that it's great, but I have no interest in seeing it. Now, if I were to sit down and watch it next week, it would feel a little weird that now I'm not, I had once resigned myself to the fact that I have no reason to see this, and now I've seen it. And so, yeah, it changes a little bit. I guess it's not, I don't know if it's as dramatic, perhaps, as you might be trying to.
I'm talking into a microphone, so I'm making it maybe a little dramatic, but it is dramatic. Avoiding it for 45 years mattered, or felt like it mattered, and it's weird because it doesn't. Nobody cares. You know, we're doing an episode about it, so I'm glad I didn't front load it with that statement. But,
sure.
But it's weird. I do feel like this changes my connection to it.
I have some friends that absolutely love certain things that I have no interest in, but they'll talk about it, they'll share it, they'll say, hey, here's a copy of it, check it out. And it's like, I don't need to, in a way, I'm never going to watch it now because I don't want to be defined in any aspect by the thing that you're defined by.
Why is that? Because I relate to what you're saying, and I have that. And it sounds like you have a healthier, manageable version of that.
Yeah, it doesn't relate to them until they start pushing it on you, and
but elevating. They didn't make what they're pushing on you. They didn't make that piece of art. They just saw it. They want the attachment, maybe, but they're just presenting it to you.
Right, and there's a difference. Like I could have somebody present something to me, and I'll check it out, and maybe I'll really like it. But if someone presents something to me and I just don't get around to it, and then they present it again, and then there's a celebration for it with a fandom, a base, you get to a point with things like that going around that particular piece of pop culture where then you have to decide, do I give into that and check that out? Do I also become that? Which
what though? What are we afraid of becoming?
It's not. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm not using the right terms, but it's.
I think you are, because I think we're both doing this, and I don't get it. Is what I'm saying. I don't get. And I can only speak for me. I don't mean to speak for you. I don't get why this is so important to me. I mean, you used to make fucking mixtapes for people. You would calculate what song follows what song, the arrangement of it, and you would hand it to people as a way of saying, here, this is important. It's coming from me. This is important. It's the same thing. So it's a little more work, I guess, because you're putting it together. And we claim in our heads it's more art, but it's the same thing as the person with the Jaws t-shirt and the Jaws poster, and was it a Jaws car that you were talking about earlier?
I don't think so.
Coming to you and saying, oh, you got to see Jaws. It's the same thing. You didn't write those songs, record those songs. Maybe you did, but I think they're mostly tracks from your CDs. You bought them. And you bought the blank cassette and you made the blank cassette and you handed it to them. These people didn't make Jaws. They didn't write Jaws. They saw Jaws. They're telling me to see Jaws because they love it. And yet I hold that against them. I hold that not even against them. I hold that against the art, which is the worst thing you can do. Because that's not fair to the people who made it.
Yeah. We've got to figure this out because we bring this up quite a bit, I think. On this show.
I don't think we have a lot of a recurring audience, so it's fine.
No, but I still, just for you and me, I'd like to get to the root of it.
But do you do a podcast if that's not what you do? Like, is there, because for me, this is something, and I realized it just now in saying it, there is a fear that giving up a little bit of that weird isolationist, arrogance, whatever, makes me like everyone else. That's the thing. Jaws, everyone saw. As soon as I saw it, we've all seen Jaws. We've also all seen Star Wars, but I came to that on my own.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, do we stop doing the show if we crack that code? Do I take all the CDs down? I did, by the way. I don't have any CDs up, but the posters down. Like that, there is a sad fear at 44 years old that to give up something like not having seen Jaws, it sounds ridiculous, but it could invalidate a little bit my stance on this. And I've built up a life that this stuff matters and makes me who I am. So yeah, it's a little difficult. And I'm a little frustrated that I've seen Jaws as much as I enjoyed it. And I'm glad to have seen it. Kind of wish I had seen it sooner, maybe, not in the context of just watch it for the show and take the notes, just enjoy it. But still, yeah, it's weird. I don't know if it gets figured out beyond that because it would mean changing something that I don't know if I want to change.
Would it help to simply think of this viewing of Jaws as research?
But it's not just research.
Okay.
Because it's a real thing. I mean,
would it help to just think of it that way?
Well, that's another delusion, I guess.
Yeah.
The truth is, Jaws is a well-made fucking film. It deserves the attention it got. It made huge impacts on the world. It helped spawn what I enjoy, which is summer movies and blockbusters of the 80s. Came out of that 5 years later. So it's silly to have run from it, I guess. That's all. And there'll be other things like that. You're talking about The Godfather. It'd be weird. The only way you or I are going to see The Godfather is to do another one of these episodes.
True. Especially, yeah. I mean, it's possible when my
kids not streaming on Netflix, so I don't know how you're going to see it.
No, yeah, that's true. Sorry. But if there was like a midnight movie or a screening or something and a bunch of us were going to go, maybe I would do that. Maybe I would.
And that scenario is highly likely.
Are you being sarcastic?
I don't know. I can't tell. I'm a little confused now with my tone. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed seeing it. I'm glad to have seen it. And I need to deal with, and we're doing it a bit on microphones, but I will continue to do, I need to deal with this weird pop culture fan arrogance that is really detrimental. Because from what I understand, yeah, The Godfather's pretty good. We should probably see that.
Next week on 20th Century Pop.
Not The Godfather. Maybe Godfather 3, The Revenge? I wonder what will be next week. You know how you can find out what's next week? You know how you, the listener, and you too, Bob, could find out what is actually going to be playing here next week?
Let me know.
I'll tell you. You could visit the website, the Not a Holograms homepage of nahpods.com. That's the main webpage for this show, 20th Century Pop, and a couple other podcasts also under that same banner. You can always visit there to find the most recent episode of this show streaming. You can always find links to all of our past episodes there, along with the show notes. I would say check out the show notes. I'm getting a little more informative with them. I think there's a lot more information there. You can check all those out on the website. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and Stitcher, on most ways that you listen to podcasts. And you can follow the show, 20th Century Pop, at 20popcast on Twitter and on Instagram, and myself, Tim Blevins. You can follow me on those two same mediums at Subcultist.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter as well, at RHCanning. As always, I implore you to reach out to us, tweet us, let us know what you think of Jaws. Have you seen Jaws? If you've not, will you watch it now? Would love to know. Get your input.
I mean, I actually have to shift everything I just said now to I'm never going to see Jaws 2. That's the next one I'm not going to see. And then when I'm 90, 45 years from now, I'll probably check it out.
Just that one time.
But not 3D.
I have no memory of Jaws 2. I'm pretty sure I've seen it. No memory of Jaws 2. I've seen Jaws 3D a couple times, not in 3D. And then Jaws the Revenge I've seen a few times.
Well, Jaws the Revenge is the one I saw, so it was weird that they had this prequel.
That happens sometimes.
That happened. This Jaws. Do you ever type, when you're searching porn, do you ever type the wrong, like you're just on autopilot and you type the wrong search?
Uh-huh.
And what comes up, you're like, well, now that's in my feed. And so you look at it anyways, but you're like, that's not what I wanted, that's not what I meant, but it's here. Let's see what they have on DeviantArt.
I don't think that's ever happened. Okay. I'm pretty clear about what it is I'm searching for.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Do you ever search something so much that when you go to search something else, maybe in front of someone, maybe because you're going to order out, or maybe because you got to buy clothes for your kids, but you just automatically type the same search words you always type, you're like, whoops, I got to backtrack on that, because not everybody in the room is into tequila.
No, I haven't done that.
No, okay.
No.
All right, well, that's good. Because
Yeah.
I will tell you from experience, an understanding person, it's not embarrassing in front of them. But it could lead to trouble. If I was employed right now, it could lead to issues of conversation.
Yeah.
If it happened at work.
Yeah, that's true.
NSA for work. What is that? NSFW.
Not safe for work.
That's right. Unless you work but then it's like, well, what if I work in this industry? You know what's pretty safe for work at Pornhub? Every YouTube video you could ever post.
Jaws made you afraid to go in the water. Jaws 2 made you afraid to go back in the water. Jaws 3D was a new dimension in terror. In Jaws 4: The Revenge, it was personal. Then it was just business. Then pure pleasure. Cyber Jaws made you afraid to log on. And Robo Jaws made you afraid of robotic sharks. Then Chief Brodie's grandson assembled a super team of shark hunters. Jaws 10, it was man versus shark versus all the terrors of the deep. Outer space, then a prequel, and a sequel to the prequel. And then a new era in terror began. Jaws started a family. Battled a Russian shark named Ivan Sharkovsky, took a bite out of the Big Apple, and learned about love from a mysterious stranger. Jaws 18 Origins, the mind-blowing reboot. Now, the oceans are disappearing, and to save their home, the sharks must attack. Jaws 19. This time, it's really, really personal. Coming soon.